Thank you so much for attending my presentation on how Rillaboom redeemed itself, and to understand how it changed its reputation we need to look at its stats. Rillaboom was a part of the first generation with min-max starters, meaning it has some really high numbers. Its attack is the highest of all starters up to Gen 8, and it still has a lot of depth otherwise. Okay, these stats are good and all, but compared to the top mods of both VGC and OU, it seems a bit underwhelming, right? Well, that's where its ability comes in, and oh boy, it's a doozy. Rilla has Grassy Surge, an ability previously locked to Tapu Bulu, letting it set up grassy terrain on switch-in. Terrain boosts your grass moves by 1.5 times, giving it some of the strongest attacks in the game. So what moves does Rillaboom have to take advantage of this? Well, of course it does the big stab move, in this case Woodhammer, but it has a surprising amount of other options. The Gorilla has solid coverage moves like Superpower and Knockoff, letting it threaten grass resist with either super effective damage or item removal. It can support its teammates in doubles with Fake Out and also has Swords Dance, turning its power up to 11. But if you know about Pokemon, you know what's up next. Grassy Glide. This move, to be frank, is really fucked up. When Grassy Terrain is up, which if you forgot Rillaboom does every time it switches in, it gets priority, and when you factor in that type boost, this 70 base power move becomes extremely deadly. Swords Dance of course helps, as one boost can help you win the game on the spot. In Gen 8, Rillaboom was one of the strongest Pokemon both in VGC and singles. Even with approximately 15,000 grass resists like Dragapult and Heatran dominating, Rilla still wound up at A- tier as a deadly attacker. Its Swords Dance plus Grassy Glide set was too much to handle for a ton of the metagame, and Rillaboom of course still had the tools to punish switch-ins. Rillaboom was also very good in VGC. It was a top 5 Pokemon in Series 5, and even when restricted formats came around it had a niche. Rillaboom was one of the most hated Pokemon in both formats, mostly because of its absurd damage output with priority. But in Gen 9 that all flipped on its head. Grassy Glide got a big nerf, turning it from completely insane threat right out of the gate to really wants a Swords Dance up first. It's totally fine in singles, often forgoing Swords Dance entirely and instead opting for Choice Band to get that immediate damage back. However, it's quickly become one of the most important and beloved Pokemon in Gen 9 VGC. The advent of Psy Spam was a big deal, as Rillaboom has the rare ability to reset the Expanding Force enabling Psychic terrain. Urshifu Rapid's Rise also gave it a new use. Even though Grassy Glide was nerfed, with investment in Sword of Ruin you can start threatening priority Okos. Rillaboom became one of the most vital stopgaps in VGC because of how well it checked common metagame threats, and for a long time it was one of the only things keeping the format from falling into chaos. In conclusion, Rillaboom is a perfect example of how a well-placed nerf can make a Pokemon balanced again. I hope that Game Freak sees just how successful the change was and decides to take another look at some of their most perennially broken Pokemon. Thank you so much for watching.